The EMTs are loading my coworker into the ambulance right now, and my boss just pulled me aside to say the police want to talk to me about why I called 911 when Sarah specifically told me not to. We work at a small nonprofit, just 8 of us in the office. Sarah and I share a workspace, desks facing each other, and for the past 3 weeks she's been losing weight at an alarming rate. Her clothes hang off her and there are dark circles under her eyes that makeup can't hide anymore. Today she came in looking worse than I'd ever seen her. She could barely stand up straight. Around 11 she went to the bathroom and didn't come back for 20 minutes. When she did, her hands were shaking and she was even paler than before. I asked if she was okay. She said she was fine, just tired. I said she looked like she needed to go home or see a doctor. She snapped at me to drop it. An hour later, she stood up from her desk and her legs buckled. She caught herself on the desk edge but knocked her coffee over. The mug shattered on the floor. Our boss came out of his office and asked what happened. Sarah said she just tripped. She was clumsy today, but I'd seen her face right before she fell, the way her eyes rolled back for a second. That wasn't tripping. I pulled our boss aside and told him I thought Sarah needed medical attention. He said if Sarah said she was fine, we should respect that. I said she was clearly not fine and someone needed to do something. He told me to let it go. Sarah was an adult and could make her own decisions about her health. I went back to my desk. Sarah was on her phone, texting someone. Her hands were still shaking. She looked up and saw me watching her. She said, "Please don't make this a thing." I asked what was going on. She said nothing. She'd been sick for a few weeks, but it was under control. I said it didn't look under control. She said it was none of my business. 20 minutes later, she passed out, just slumped forward onto her keyboard, completely unconscious. I ran over and tried to wake her up. She wasn't responding. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. One of my other coworkers grabbed my arm and said, "Wait, Sarah wouldn't want this." I shook her off and gave the address to the dispatcher. Sarah came to before the ambulance arrived. She was crying, saying no, 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 over and over. She tried to stand up but couldn't. She looked at me and said, "You had no right." The paramedics came in and started checking her vitals. One of them asked if she'd been eating. She didn't answer. He asked if she'd been taking anything. She said no. They said her blood pressure was dangerously low and she needed to go to the hospital. She refused. They said they couldn't force her if she was conscious and declining transport. She kept saying she was fine and didn't need to go. One of the paramedics pulled me aside and asked if I knew anything about her medical history. I said I didn't, but she'd been deteriorating for weeks. He said if she lost consciousness again, they'd transport her whether she consented or not. 10 minutes after the paramedics arrived, Sarah passed out again. This time she didn't wake up right away. They loaded her onto a stretcher. That's when my boss pulled me into his office and told me the police wanted to speak with me. Apparently Sarah's boyfriend had just shown up and was saying I'd called 911 against her explicit wishes and violated her medical privacy. Then my boss told me something I hadn't known. Sarah has an eating disorder she's been in treatment for. She disclosed it to HR when she was hired because she sometimes needs to attend therapy appointments. The treatment is working and she's been managing it herself. By calling 911, I'd triggered an emergency intervention she didn't want. Her boyfriend is saying I could have just told him privately and he would have handled it. My boss is saying I overstepped and humiliated Sarah in front of the whole office, but she passed out twice. Her blood pressure was dangerously low. What was I supposed to do? Just let her collapse and hope someone who knew her medical history would handle it quietly? Am I the asshole?